So today we are starting with the chapter 2. Chapter 2 is entitled as Contents of the Gita Summarized. So can anyone tell what is the name of the chapter 1? You can write in the chat, or if you can raise your hand, I'll unmute you. Okay, Sanvi. Yes, Sanvi, go ahead.
Yes, Mataji, the first chapter name is Arjuna Vishada Yoga.
Yeah, and in English it is?
In the observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Very good, Sanvi. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so now I have one more question. You can lower your hand, Sanvi, so that others will get a chance. So what are the 4 reasons we discussed in the first chapter where Arjuna said that he don't want to fight? Can anyone list out those 4 reasons? What are the 4 reasons? Harshit. Yes, Harshit, go ahead.
Yes, one minute.
Yeah,
Compassion.
Compassion, yes.
Loss of enjoyment.
Very good, yes.
Fear of sinful reaction.
Very good.
And the 4th one is destruction of family traditions.
Excellent. Very good. So by the end of the first chapter, what did Arjuna say? Arjuna said these 4 reasons. Based on these 4 reasons, he said, I am not going to fight. So we saw a picture of Arjuna, like he left his Gandiva bow. He literally fell down on the floor and he is lamenting until he's crying, saying that I don't want to fight. So we learned until then. So I have one more question. So how many slokas do we have in Bhagavad Gita? How many slokas? I'll give to Krishna Priya. Yeah, Krishna Priya or Vishnu Priya, anyone?
700 slokas, Mataji.
700. Very good. Very good. So I have one more question now. You can unmute yourself. And how many divisions we talked about in the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita which we have? So Akshaya. Yeah, Akshaya, go ahead.
Mataji, 4 divisions, Mataji.
No, in 18 chapters we talked about, I showed you that burger picture, right? How many divisions we talked there? How many types of yoga?
3, Mataji.
3. Yeah, what are those?
3, Mataji.
Yes, Nana. Yeah.
Ma'am, Karma Yoga.
Yes.
Dharma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga.
Bhakti Yoga and Dhyana Yoga.
Jnana Yoga.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. Okay. Then now lower your hands, and any more questions, I'll just unmute again. Yeah. So now let's go to the second chapter. So second chapter is named as Contents of Gita Summarized. So here, this is the second longest chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So the first longest is 18th chapter. 18th chapter has 76 verses, whereas this chapter has 72 verses. Okay. So here Krishna is giving the entire summary of Bhagavad Gita. So this particular chapter, if you understand properly, it is like a basic foundation to the entire Bhagavad Gita to actually progress further. So here I have a question. So what do you mean by summary? You all know what is summary, right? In your day-to-day school or something, you'll talk so many times about summary, right? So Brunda wants to say, can you please all of you switch on your video? Yeah, Brunda, switch on your video and then talk. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, what do you mean by summary?
Mataji, a summary is a small paragraph which shows the full concept.
Yeah, so it gives a gist of the entire book, whatever you have, right? Yeah, so this is like that. So Krishna is giving the entire summary of Bhagavad Gita here. So now let's progress further. So for our ease and convenience, so that you can understand and you can contemplate and you can implement in your day-to-day life, this chapter is divided into 4 sections. So the first section is called crisis management. So we saw, right, like Arjuna is in crisis in the first chapter. By the end of first chapter, he's very confused and he's in crisis, right? So that we are going to discuss in first chapter. And second section, I mean the first section. So second section, my real identity. There from the sloka 11 to 30, we are discussing about my real identity. Who am I? So we are discussing about that in that particular section. Then third section we are discussing. So here you can see a balanced picture, right? So we are discussing about what are those two duties and how we have to balance those two duties. Here we are discussing. And the next fourth section, we are discussing about sustained happiness. From the verse number 54 to 72, we are discussing about sustained happiness. How we can attain sustained happiness. Krishna is giving that knowledge to us. So by the end of first chapter, you understood like Arjuna is very compassionate, like he's really lamenting, like why should I kill my own people? How can I kill my guru? How can I kill my grandfather? How can I kill my relatives? Arjuna is so worried in that end of first chapter. So here what Krishna is saying is, like Krishna is saying, you don't even see, you can see that picture, right? Arjuna literally he left everything and he is falling on Krishna's feet saying that I cannot fight. So he discussed that 4 reasons. So what is Krishna saying here? Krishna is literally scolding Arjuna. He's saying like, you don't even deserve to be a prince. Why he's saying that? Why he's saying that? Because Arjuna is a Kshatriya. So what is the duty of the Kshatriya? Can anyone answer? You can raise your hand. I'll unmute you. Yeah, Harika. Yeah.
Ma'am, Kshatriya means fighter, ma'am.
Fighter. So what is his duty there?
We have to fight with our opposite kingdoms.
So he has to fight. So here what Arjuna is doing, he's saying, I will not fight. So he's not doing his dharma. So Krishna is actually scolding him, saying that you don't even deserve to be a Kshatriya. And by this act of yours, it won't even send you to higher planets. And moreover, we know that Arjuna is a great warrior, right? Arjuna is a great Kshatriya warrior. So he's saying like this will lead to infamy. Infamy means it will make you infamous. So now let's see what more he's saying. So here what Arjuna is saying is, I am confused. He's saying whatever Arjuna talked at the end of the first chapter, right? He gave that 4 reasons and he said he will not fight, right? Now Arjuna is saying why he said that. He said because he doesn't want to attack Bhishma, Drona. He's saying, how can I attack Bhishma and Drona? He's saying, I will better live by begging. So Arjuna is saying, what is Arjuna saying? I will leave everything. I don't want anything. I will live by begging, he's saying. And he's saying, even I'm not knowing what is better, whether to be conquered or to conquer. He's not knowing that. So that is what Arjuna is saying here. And he's admitting his grief here. So here we have a beautiful verse, and most of the SSP kid know this. Who want to recite this verse? Let me give a chance to, one second. Yeah. Vanshika and Shrinika, can you switch on your video?
Okay, Mataji.
Yes, recite that verse.
Mataji, the verse is not being seen.
You don't know? You learned in SSP, right? Like Krishna says, I'm confused and surrendering to you. Okay, I'll give it to, you can read the meaning, Vanshika, just hold on. Sahiti?
I will read the meaning, Mataji.
Yeah, let Sahiti finish the sloka, then, yeah, Sahiti, go ahead.
कार्पण्यदोषोपहतस्वभाव पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यत् श्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं साधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम्.
Very good, Sahiti. Yeah, now Vanshika, you can read the meaning. Shrinika or Vanshika, anyone. Give a chance to any others then. Who else want to read? Siri, can you go ahead?
Yes, Mataji. Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me.
Very good. So what is Arjuna saying here? Here that line where he says, Shishyasteham Shadimam Tvam Prapannam. That is very important here. What we can understand from this, Arjuna is saying, like, I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So Arjuna is saying, like, I am your disciple. So far what we know, like Arjuna and Krishna, they are very dear friends. They are relatives, but now the relationship is changing from a relative or friend to Guru Sishya, like a disciple and Guru. So what Arjuna is saying, like, I am your disciple and surrendering totally onto you. See, for example, like any of you know dance and singing. So you know all this? Any of you know extracurricular? So many of you know, right? Yeah, so many of you are raising hands. So that how you learn that knowledge? How you learn them? You can type in the chat. Yeah, how you learn? Yeah, by taking classes from a qualified teacher, right? So here what Arjuna is saying, like, you be my guru. So for anything in our life, whatever we have to learn, whether you want to learn maths or English or science, for anything you need a guru, right? Without guru, we cannot learn anything. So same way here, Arjuna, he surrendered completely onto Krishna and he's saying, please instruct me. And he's admitting, saying that whatever I talked at the end of first chapter, that I was talking because I was in a confused state. So now you instruct what to do. Please instruct me. That's what is Arjuna saying here. So now let's move on to the next slide. What is Arjuna saying here? So in this particular section, the first section, we will be discussing about two things. One is indecision. For what is Arjuna indecisive? And the next one is surrender. Okay, so first we'll discuss about indecision. So what is Arjuna indecisive about? So here Arjuna is indecisive about to follow or not follow the duty. So what is Arjuna's duty now? Arjuna's duty is to go and fight in the battlefield. But he is saying, like, I am indecisive about to follow or not follow my duty. So to explain this in more detail, I have an example for here. So for example, now we all know about COVID, right? Like from the past 1.5 years, everyone knows the word COVID. So say there are so many doctors who are working day and night to actually help the COVID patients. They are going to hospitals, they are performing their duty. But if all the doctors who are there in the world, if they say now, okay, COVID is so dangerous, like if I go to hospital, then I might get infected. And because of me, my family members will be infected. So why should I go to the hospital? I won't go. I'll stop my duty. So if they say like that, what will happen? Can anyone answer? Is that correct? If they say that? Yeah, Harika wants to answer. I'll mute. Yeah, Harika. Yeah. So what do you feel? If yeah.
We have to go for hospital, ma'am.
So he has to do his duty, right? Yeah. Why he has to go? Why he has to go? Yeah. Go ahead. I can hear you.
Ma'am, for helping the patients, ma'am.
Because he is a doctor, he has to perform his duty, right? So he has to go to the hospital. So same way, we'll take one more example. Like we know army, right? Everyone know army, right? Yeah. So if we actually take an army person, for example, in the border, there is a war going on between India or China. Then if that war, that personnel, maybe he is a commander in chief and he is a very predominant person in that particular war. And this person says, I don't want to go and fight because if I go there, I have to kill the opposite party. And I don't want to kill them. And he starts giving cold feet and he doesn't go there. Then what happens? Is that right? First of all, should he go or should he not go? Yeah, he has to go, right? Yeah, very good. Very good. So the Arjuna is in the same situation now. What he's saying is, I am not knowing what is my duty, whether to follow or to not follow the duty. And one more thing, what he is indecisive about, he's saying, which is better, winning or losing? Which is better? He doesn't know. He's saying I am indecisive about it. So for example, we'll take, you all have sports meets in schools, right? You'll be having sports meet. Yeah. Say for example, like Harshit, T Harshit is there. T Harshit is representing the basketball team. Okay. And you are participating in the competition. Now, when you went to that competition to another school, in the opposite team, you found your best friend. Who is your best friend from childhood? So seeing your team number on the another team, you are thinking in your mind whether I have to win or whether I have to lose, because my best friend is there on the other team. Should I win or should I lose? So anybody have an answer for this?
వాళ్ళ ఫ్రెండ్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు when the friends are there, they will think that let's give a tie break.
Okay, but what do you think? Tell me. Like you are representing your school team and you found a very close friend of yours in the opposite team. So what you lose?
No, I will win and win the prize, and I'll say sorry to him, like we want to get the prize, so we have played this game, like that.
Okay. Okay, good. So so Arjuna is in the same situation, whether winning or losing. So see this example, if we take, right, like if you are in that team, you're representing that team, right? You have to be loyal to your team first of all, because your friend is there in other team. You should not lose here. You have to be loyal to your team. So that is another indecisiveness which Arjuna has. Okay, I am receiving responses in the chat as well. Very good, Siri, Saiti, Rana, Sharon Sai, very good. Yeah, we have to win. So it's not a matter of winning there. We have to participate in it 100%. Okay, we have to give our best efforts there. So Arjuna is in that same confusion here. So from this, we learn a very good life lesson. So let's see what that life lesson is. Can any one of you? Anjana, go ahead.
One loses ability to discriminate between right and wrong due to attachment.
Very good. So can you relate this to the one which we example, Anjana? So we just went through an example, right? Like a team wherein your friend is an opposite team and you're working in this team. Can you actually relate to that example here?
Mataji, inkoksari చెప్తారా?
సో ఇందాక మనం ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తెలుసుకున్నాం కదా, లైక్ నీ టీమ్ లో యువర్ పార్టిసిపేటింగ్ అండ్ ఇన్ ఆపోజిట్ టీమ్ యువర్ బెస్ట్ ఫ్రెండ్ ఉంది. సో యూ థాట్ లైక్ వెదర్ ఐ హ్యావ్ టు విన్ ఆర్ లూజ్. వై యూ గాట్ దట్ థాట్ దేర్? కెన్ వి రిలేట్?
Winning.
Because of attachment.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, because see, she is your close friend, right? So that previous example which I was talking about, you can relate that here. Because she is your close, because most of you have said like winning only is good. Like you have to give your 100% effort. But if someone has a thought like, okay, my friend is there in the opposite team, what should I do now? If you get that thought, then it is that because you are very much attached to your friend, and then you didn't even get that thought like you should know what is right and what is wrong. So what we have to do is, when you have that attachment, you will fail to actually discriminate what is right and what is wrong. So we have to think twice before actually taking any decisions. Okay, very good. Next, so second, in this particular section, we are discussing about indecision. So we are done with indecision. So is it clear so far for everyone? You can write clear in the chat if it is clear. So is it clear? Okay, yeah, good, thanks. Okay, now let's go to surrender. So in that sloka which we read, Karpanya dosho bahata swabhava. So what did Arjuna do? Arjuna surrendered himself completely. So why he surrendered? Because he was realizing that he's being very weak and he took shelter of Bhagavan. So here in the Bhagavad Gita, first we are listening about Bhagavan. So the last chapter when we discussed, right, we were discussing about like Sanjaya Uvacha. So Uvacha means speak. When Sanjaya was speaking, we are saying Sanjaya Uvacha. When Dhritarashtra was speaking, we said Dhritarashtra Uvacha. When Arjuna was speaking, we said Arjuna Uvacha. But in Bhagavad Gita, wherever Krishna is speaking, it is not written as Krishna Uvacha. It is said as Bhagavan Uvacha. So whenever next time we are talking about Bhagavan Uvacha, we will understand that it is Krishna in further chapters. But for now, understand it is Bhagavan Uvacha when Krishna is speaking. Okay? And then the relationship actually changed. So far, Krishna and Arjuna, they were very close friends and they were relatives. Now the relationship is turning from a friend relative to a guru sishya relationship. So when we accept a guru, right, then they will give you knowledge. So, for example, you have sports in school, right? Like many of you might be going to learn sports outside also. Yeah. For example, you're learning a sport outside. Say like you're learning badminton outside. You're taking a special coaching for that. And then in your school also badminton is there. And there is a trainer in the school. There is a teacher, qualified teacher to teach badminton. But then you go to that particular teacher because you're learning outside, you're learning badminton outside. You go to your teacher and say, I don't need that much of a guidance. I already am learning outside, so I know all these techniques. So when you say that to your teacher, will he actually impart any knowledge to you? Can anyone answer? Yeah, Kaivalya. Okay, Kaivalya, go ahead.
The guru will not impart any knowledge he has with him, Mataji.
Very good. Why?
Because we talk proud. When we talk proud, the guru understands that we are not fit to receive the knowledge which he has.
Excellent, Kaivalya. Very good. Yes. So whenever we want to approach any guru, first of all, we should be very submissive. Even though we know something, we have to approach them in such a way that we don't know anything. Then only he can give you more and more. Whatever he knows, he will impart all that knowledge to you. Okay? Like that, we have to approach a guru. Especially the spiritual knowledge. Even though you have a little bit of knowledge, always you should be like a clean slate. Everyone knows slate, right? So what is a clean slate? Nothing is there. But if something is written, like ABCD is written, 1 to 10 numbers, all 100 numbers are written, how clumsy it will be. So we should not go to a guru like that. We have to go like a clean slate. Okay. So now Arjuna surrendered like that to Krishna. So he is imparting knowledge to him. So far in the Bhagavad Gita, so far how much ever we learned, right? Now Krishna is speaking. So far Krishna didn't speak. From the 11th verse, Krishna is speaking. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. So we talked about Bhagavan, right? So let's see who is this Bhagavan. Okay? So Bhagavan and what are the characteristics of him? So he's said to be the supreme source of everything that exists. So for example, now I am there. Who are my source? Like for example,
Mataji, the characteristics of Bhagavan should be, he should be the creator of everything.
No, Brenda, hold on. So what I said is, like, I am there. Who are the, my source? Who are my source? Like you are there. Who are you from? What is the source for you?
Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna is the source for everyone. See, for example, I am there. I have my parents, right? So my parents are my source. Okay, for my parents, who are their source? Their parents, right? And their parents will have their parents. Like that, if we track, So like that, if we track back, right? There we'll reach a particular person, and this person does not have any source because he is the source of everything. That is Bhagavan. Okay? Understood?
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, good. Very good. So next it is who is Bhagavan? The next characteristic of Bhagavan is supreme proprietor. So who is a proprietor? Proprietor means he is the owner of everything. For example, like I am telling, discussing about this chapter in my laptop here. So this laptop is given to me by my office. So how long this laptop will be there with me? Until I work in this company. Like if I actually move to a different company, I have to surrender this laptop to them. So I am not the permanent proprietor of this laptop, right? Same way in material world, in the world which we are living, we are not the proprietors permanently. See, we might have so many luxuries here. For example, you might have a car, you might have a house, you might have so many things. But how long you are proprietor? As long as we are here. So once we are dead, right, it will get transferred to our kids, like that. Or if we sell the house, what will happen? It will get transferred to some other person, right? So we are temporary proprietors here. Next, supreme controller. See, everyone will try to be a controller here. See, for example, if you have younger siblings, right, you will try to control them, right? Like, don't do this, don't do that. We will be saying that, right? Those who have younger kids, you'll know that, right? Younger siblings. So you'll say, no, don't do that. Don't take my pencil. Don't take my bag. Don't touch my bag. You keep telling all this, right? Yeah. So we are trying to be controllers, but actually we are not the controllers. So who is the controller? The controller is Bhagavan. And he is the supreme enjoyer. Why he is the enjoyer? Because he is the proprietor of everything, right? Whoever is a proprietor will enjoy. So to understand this, I'll give you an example. For there is a restaurant. There is a everyone knows about restaurants, right? So there is a posh restaurant. There's so many people working in that restaurant. Okay. And what happened is every day, like there are so many chefs working in that restaurant. There is a cashier, there is a manager, and there's so many people working in that restaurant. Waiters, all these people are there in that restaurant. So every day night, right, one person comes to that cashier counter and he says like, today's collection, he'll say. What will this cashier do? The cashier will immediately get up and he'll count all this bundle of money he has and he'll hand over that money to that person. So who is that person? He is the owner of the restaurant. So because he is the owner of the restaurant, he doesn't need to work there. He doesn't need to wash the vessels there. He doesn't need to serve there. He doesn't need to do anything. Basically, he just engaged the subordinates and all the things are being taken care. So he is the supreme enjoyer. So same way, Bhagavan is the supreme enjoyer of all this because he is the proprietor. He is the controller. He is everything. Okay. So far you understood, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. Next. And you know Parasara Muni, right? You know who is Parasara Muni? Parasara Muni is Vyasadeva's father. What Parasara Muni said, right? He gave 6 qualities of Bhagavan. So he said, like, whoever has the 6 qualities in full, like 100%, then they are called as Bhagavan. So if someone comes and claims as God and all right, we have to see if they are having this 100%. These are all the opulences. So Bhagavan means, Bhaga means opulence, Aishwarya, and Van means possess. So one who possesses the 6 opulences is called as a Bhagavan. So anyone can read these 6 opulences. Whoever didn't get a chance so far. What is your name, Amma?
Madalasa. My name is
Madalasa. You're a 6-year-old. Very good, Amma. Yeah, read it. What is it? Can you see?
No, ma'am. It is a quality of Bhagavan, beauty
Right. Yeah. Next one. Yes.
and strength, ma'am,
Yes.
and knowledge,
Very good.
wealth, madam,
Renunciation, fame.
wealth,
Renunciation and fame.
okay, madam.
Very good, Madalsa. Are you understanding?
Yes, madam. Slowly she is understanding, madam. She is small kid, UKG.
Yes, 6-year-old. Very good, Amma. I am really happy that you are trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. Very good, Nana.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Okay, now here are the 6 opulences which Parasara Muni said, like whoever possesses the 6 qualities, then they are Bhagavan. So let's take about beauty. So Krishna, you know, right? Krishna is a Nava Yavana. So it is said that Krishna will not age beyond 16. He is always 16, always beautiful. Okay. And Krishna has so many names, right? He has one name called as Madana Mohan. Madana Mohan means, Madan means Cupid. And Mohan means attract. So one who attracts the Cupid. Krishna is capable of attracting even the Cupid. That's how beautiful he is. Next, strength. When we talk about strength, right, there's so many pastimes to discuss. There is one pastime wherein, like you all know that pastime, right? Krishna lifted Govardhan hill, right? Everyone know that pastime, right? Yeah, with the little finger. Very good, Harshit. So at the age of 7 years, Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill, and you know, at the current time, this Govardhan hill is near Vrindavan. If you see that Govardhan hill, right, it is 24 kilometers in diameter. And this Govardhan hill, Krishna lifted with his little finger for 7 days, 7 nights. Okay? 7 days and 7 nights. And see, for example, for us to build our strength, what we have to do? We have to go to weightlifting sessions, right? But Krishna did not go to any weightlifting sessions. That's how much of strength he has. Okay. Next, knowledge. When we are talking about knowledge, right? See, now we are trying to understand Bhagavad Gita. So I listened to so many classes from Balgowand Prabhuji. But again, to give these sessions, right, I still have to prepare and talk in front of you. But Krishna gave us Bhagavad Gita. And you know how much time he spoke this Bhagavad Gita? In 45 minutes, he spoke Bhagavad Gita, entire Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. That's how knowledgeable he is. 45 minutes, yes. And then wealth. So we know that he is the supreme proprietor of everything. So when he is the proprietor of this entire universe, who can be more wealthier than Bhagavan, than Krishna? And then renunciation. So last chapter we discussed about Krishna being the chariot driver, right? He was the chariot driver to Arjuna. Yeah. So see, he has so many possessions, everything he has, but he is not attached to everything. So renunciation means not being attached to anything. Okay. Next, fame. So fame, when you take about fame, by the grace of Prabhupada, throughout the world, wherever you go, there is not even a single person who will not know about God. So you know about atheists and theists, right? Atheists, they say they don't believe in God, but they know about God. They know that God is there, but they say they don't believe God. So that is how famous Krishna is. So now, so if anyone talks about Bhagavan, right, you have to immediately understand about the 6 qualities. You should be able to talk about the 6 qualities and the 4 characteristics which we talked. Can anyone quickly summarize on this, like the 4 characteristics and the 6 qualities? Can anyone talk? You can raise your hand. Okay. Yeah, Brinda, go ahead. What are the 4 characteristics of Bhagavan?
The 4 characteristics of Bhagavan are: he should be the source of everything, he should be the owner of everything, he should be the controller of everything, and he should be the enjoyer of everything.
Is the enjoyer. Very good. And these are the 6 qualities. Okay, very good. Just remember the 6 qualities and the 4 characteristics. So here we have a beautiful life lesson if someone wants to read. Yeah, can the new joiners try? Give a try. Yeah, Haripriya. Hare Krishna, Haripriya. Yeah, go ahead, Haripriya.
Haripriya has come.
Whatever good I see in myself is because God shares a spark of His appearance.
Very good, very good. So what we have to understand here is, see, some might be very beautiful, some might be a very good singer, some might be a very good sports person, right? So whatever quality you're good at, we have to understand that because Krishna is so beautiful and he shared a spark with us, that's why we are beautiful. Because Krishna, if someone is very knowledgeable, so we can observe, right? Like even 3-year-old, 4-year-old, sometimes they will be able to advance so fast. Like they can recite slokas. They'll be like a 4th grader or 5th grader. So if they are so knowledgeable like that, it is because Krishna shared a tiny mini spark of his opulence with us. Okay, that is a life lesson. So by this life lesson, what we have to do is we should inculcate attitude of gratitude. So to whom we have to show this gratitude? We have to show this gratitude towards God. Because whatever we are today, it is because of God. So we should inculcate the attitude of gratitude. So the next life lesson, if anyone wanted to read. Atidhi? Atidhi, where are you? Atidhi, you want to read?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead.
A difficult decision making situation, consult a perfect authority.
Very good. Yeah. So what does this mean? When we are in a situation, in a difficult situations where we cannot make decisions, we have to consult a perfect authority. See, in our day-to-day life also, there might be so many challenges. For example, because you're all school-going kids, right? So you might face challenges with friends or sometimes with teachers. So you should not keep them for yourself. You have to come and talk to your parents. You should let them know, okay, this is my situation. What should I do? Because your parents are very experienced or else your teachers are very experienced. So you should not keep anything for yourself. You should actually contact a perfect authority. So it is always, here there is a saying, like if you don't, see in school, right, if you have any doubt or anything, you have to ask questions. So it is said that if you don't ask any question, right, you will be a fool for throughout your life. But if you ask a question, you will be fool for that time only. Like for example, 5 minutes, you'll be a fool for 5 minutes only. But if you don't ask that question, right, you will be fool throughout your entire life. So it is important to ask questions. You have to keep asking questions. Don't think, okay, this might be a stupid question. Maybe my teacher will not like me, or maybe my teacher will think I don't know anything. No, never think like that. You have to ask questions to your teachers or parents or elders, anyone. Even you can ask questions to your sisters, to your siblings, elder siblings. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go to next section. So this is a very important section. Please everyone pay attention here. I tried to simplify this, but then it might sound dry, but please pay attention to understand this one. So my real identity here, it is talking about who am I? So let's understand what is this. So here, who want to read this verse?
Dehi nosmin yada dehi kaumaram yavvanam jara tada dehantara prapti dhirastatra namuhyati.
Very good. The next translation, who want to read? Kaushini? Kaushini, go ahead. Yeah.
As the embodied soul
Continuously
passes in this body for boyhood to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a chance.
By such a change. Very good. Yeah, so we have to understand this verse correctly. So so if you see this picture, right, you can see like there is a small baby and then that baby is growing, maybe like a 2-year-old, then 3-year-old, then he's entering to boyhood, and then he's going to youth, then old age, then he becomes old, deceased and dead. So this cycle is going on. So you can see that, like for example, you like, or maybe all of you are like from 6-year-old to 16 years old, you're there. So when you're at 6 months, do you remember exactly how you are? Anybody remember? So maybe you have like, you might have pictures or videos of yourself, but how do you actually relate? Like, see, our body is changing, right? When you are small, you have tiny legs, tiny hands, and you're small, very tiny. And then you're growing. So how do you actually relate your body from when you're 6-month-old, then like 10 years old, then 15 years? How are we actually relating our body? Let's see some examples to actually understand this more. So who am I? So maybe you all didn't go to that stage, but maybe if you have an interview or something, right? Generally, what is the question being asked there in that interview? They're asked to tell about yourself. So for example, you might have practicals, right? Like Viva will be there for your practicals. So during Viva, the interviewer will come and ask you like, who are you? Then what we'll say, you will say like, for example, we have Mahati. Mahati, what she'll say, I am Mahati, I'm studying in so-and-so school. I came from the school, I am 10-year-old or something. So like that, we'll talk about that, right? But we have to understand that, see, for example, when I'm small, I didn't stay in Hyderabad. I stayed in a different place, but my place changed. Now my job changed. Then there is a possibility that the nationality can change or the place can change. Anything can change because it is not permanent here. Everything can change here, but there is one thing which is not going to change at all. What is that one thing? We'll understand. So here you can see, right, this picture you can see. So where I'm pointing this cursor, you can see this layer. This layer here is the gross body. Just understand this attentively. Only this one, if you understand, the entire Bhagavad Gita is very easy for you to understand. So gross body is there, right? So this gross body is like which you can see. See, for example, this skin is there. So this is the gross body which you can see with your naked eyes. Like you're able to see your hands, you're able to see your legs. And if you stand in front of the mirror, you can see your face, everything you can see, right? So this is the gross body. So what elements this gross body is made up of? This gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. So this gross body is made up of 5 elements. What are those? Earth, water, fire, air, ether. So everyone know what is ether? Can you type in the chat if you know what is ether? Space. A more concrete answer. I need a more concrete answer. Ether is sky. Clear sky. Yeah, sky. Yeah, very good. Yeah. So our gross body is made up of these 5 elements, and this gross body is something which we can see with our naked eye. But then we have see, you're all studying, right? Now you're listening to this Bhagavad Gita discussion. So something is actually going into your brain, you're listening. So what is that? You have like mind, you have intelligence, and you have false ego. So what are these? These we cannot see with our naked eye, but this make up the subtle body. So this second layer, whatever you can see here, right? This is called subtle body. Subtle body is made up of mind, intelligence, and ego. Okay? Then we have the soul. So this yellow color picture, what you can see inside here is the soul. This soul is called as Satchidanand. Satchidanand means, Sat means it is eternal and it is all knowledgeable, and it is Anand means it is blissful. So what is the composition of ourself? What is me? The composition, it is made up of the gross body, which is having 5 elements. That is earth, water, fire, air, ether, 5 elements. Then next we had the subtle body. Subtle body is made up of 3 things. What is that? Mind, intelligence and ego. And then we have the soul. So soul is Satchit Anand. Sat means eternity. Then Chit means knowledgeable. And Anand means bliss. So can anyone summarize this one? This three composition? You can raise your hand. I'll unmute you.
Can you repeat your question, Mataji?
Yeah. So what is the composition of ourself? Like gross body, subtle body, soul. And just summarize. Like what is gross body?
Gross body is made up of earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Very good.
Double body, grass body is destroyed at death and it is temporary. Stubble
Right.
body.
Very good.
Stubble body is not seen, neither smell. Our five senses can do nothing with
Right.
stubble body.
Excellent.
Stubble body is made up of mind, intelligence, false ego.
Very good.
Soul is Sat Chit and Sat Chit Anand.
Very good.
Soul and stubble body after our death goes to another gross body.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. So this, at the time of death, what happens is like this body, this gross body, whichever we have, right? So this will be left. But that is temporary. This will be destroyed. This body will be destroyed. But the soul and the subtle body will be transferred to a next body. So the previous picture, if you go back, right? 1 second. Yeah, so in this picture, you can see, right, there is one white thing which is going throughout, right? So this is soul that is being transferred. So the soul doesn't have any depth. That we will actually learn further. So far you understood this, right? So for example, here, let's take a car. So everyone might have gone in car, right? So how does the car go? There should be a driver, definitely, for that car. So Krishna, he's explaining that this particular body is like a car. Yantra Rudani Mayaya. So what he's saying is, this body is like a machine which is run by the soul. So the car driver, if the driver is not there, will the car go? It won't go, right? So same way in our body, if the soul is not there, then we are considered to be dead. Okay? So see here in the, so Prabhupada, so one time he actually called a boy to actually explain about soul. So he called that boy and he caught his hand and he asked, what is this? Then the boy said, this is my hand. Then he showed his head. He asked, what is this? Then he said, this is my head. Then Prabhupada asked, okay, this is your hand, this is your head. Then who are you? He was asking. Then that boy was actually confused. He did not understand. But that is the soul. So what we can understand here. So one more example. I'm actually trying to simplify so that you all can understand. So you all know about living things and non-living things, right? So what is the difference between living and non-living thing? Anyone can... Okay, Haripriya. Yeah.
Living things have soul and non-living things don't have soul.
Very good. Yeah. So what are the living things we are seeing here?
People, animals, and plants.
Very good. And the non-living things?
Natural and man-made.
Right. So this living things, they have soul. That's why they are growing soul and they have that consciousness. But non-living things, right? So they're like these mountains and the man-made things like the buildings. They don't grow, right? See, for example, I have the phone here. Will this grow? So I bought it like maybe 2-3 years back. It is the same from then on. It is not growing, right? Because it doesn't have a soul. Let's even understand better. Now, see, Krishna is saying that he's talking about the old dress. See, for example, I'm wearing a dress, right? So this dress is new now. But after a year or 2 years of wearing this, it might be faded or it might be torn. So what I'll do, I will change this. I will throw it out and I will wear a new dress. So same way here you can see a picture of a boy where his dress is torn, right? So what he's doing, he's buying a new dress. He's changing the dress. So Krishna is saying that change changing of bodies is natural because the soul is not dying, only the body is dying. So Arjuna was saying in the first chapter that he is afraid, he is fearful of the sinful reactions and loss of enjoyment. All this was saying, right? Because he doesn't want to kill his own gurus or own relatives, right? But Krishna is explaining that you are not killing them. You are only killing the weapons which you actually shoot towards them will not kill the soul because soul is eternal. So you are not killing them. Even if you are not going to kill them, death is inevitable. So nobody is permanent on this material world. So everyone have to die one day or the other. So Krishna is saying you are not killing the soul. Soul is actually permanent. The weapons which you actually shoot will not kill them. That's what Krishna is saying here. Again, we can see one more example to understand this better. So maybe any Matsala, if you want to answer, I unmuted you. Yeah, I unmuted you. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a question for you, Matsala. So you have a, for example, say you have a car, right? So toy cycle or something you have. Yeah. And then how many days you'll use that?
1 year, 2 years, 1 year.
1 year, 2 years. Yes, still.
1 year.
1 year.
1 year. So after like something, the tire or something breaks, what you'll do to that?
I will leave it.
You'll throw that away, right? So same way, when our body ages and when we become diseased, what will happen is the soul will actually throw off this useless body and it will go to a new body. Okay? That is changing bodies.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So who want to read this verse here? 2.14.
No, erased.
You want to read? Yeah. Go ahead. You know to read slokas?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, chadunana. Matras.
ఇంకా రాలేదు. Slowly it is matras, parsas and
Matras, parsas to kaunteya.
Satosana
Itoshna sukha dukkada. Agama paino nitya stamstik swabharata. Try, Matsala. Yeah, read it.
The O son of Kunti, a non-permanent appearance of happiness, distress, their disappearance in due to course are like the appearance of and disappearance of the winter summer season. The sense
perception.
Oh,
shine of Bharata.
Scion of Bharata, and one must learn the
tolerate
them without being disturbed.
Very good. So what Krishna is saying here, Krishna is saying that the appearance of happiness and distress are like this appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. See, for example, if you take the winter and summer seasons, right, these seasons keep changing, right? When it is very cold, then what we have to do? We have to wear a jacket. And if it is very hot, we need an AC. But what Krishna is saying here is, they are not permanent. Like winter season is not permanent throughout, right? By the time we try to get adjust to it, immediately summer comes. So Krishna is saying that it is this happiness and distress are like, because Arjuna was saying like he'll not be able to fight because of loss of enjoyment, right? So here Krishna is saying that this happiness and distress is like the disappearance of winter and summer seasons. So he's saying like we have to learn to tolerate but not getting disturbed. See, for example, you all have exams, right? So for example, you got a first rank, you'll feel very happy about it. And it is good to be happy and it is good to celebrate also. But then if that happiness goes to extremes and if you actually become proud, right, what will happen? In the next exam, maybe you'll go to second rank or third rank. So you have to understand that the happiness or distress are temporary because we are in this material world. If it is happiness or distress, it is temporary in nature. So if we are receiving success or something, we should not feel proud. Okay, and we should not get elated about that success. And same way, if we have some failure, if you are in a distress situation, you should not lament, like you should not be very much sober. You should not feel bad about it because that will not last long. Okay. So here what we have to understand is Bhagavad Gita not only teaches us about success, but it also teaches us how to handle failures. Okay. So here let's discuss a story of a golden ring. So last chapter also we discussed about the story of a minister and a king, right? So here there is another story of a minister and a king. So there is one king and he called his minister and he is saying to his minister, like, my birthday is approaching in 6 months. So for my birthday, you have to present me a golden ring which has mystic powers. So what that golden ring has to do? If you actually see that golden ring, right, as soon as you see that golden ring, if a happy person sees that golden ring, they have to turn to sad. And if a sad person sees that golden ring, he has to become happy. So that mystic powers that golden ring has to have, you have to gift that to me. He's instructed to his minister. So this minister, he started going to so many places. Like 1 month passed by, 2 months passed by, 4 months, then 5 months. Then finally, in other 2 days, the king's birthday is approaching. He is about to pass the 6th month also. Then he met a old person and he went to that old person and he was asking that person if he actually have any golden ring which has that mystic powers, wherein if they see that, if the happy person should become sad and a sad person should become happy. Then that old person said, okay, I have a ring, and he took out his ring and that old person have some tools wherein he can write something on the ring. So he wrote something on that ring and he gave to that minister. That minister from 5-6 months, he is actually roaming around to so many places for this ring and he's very much sad. Seeing that ring, he became very happy. He took that ring and he went back to his kingdom. And then after 2 days, the king's birthday approached. Then he called this minister and he asked, where is my ring? Did you get that ring? Then this minister took out that ring and he gave that to the king. The king is so happy because it's his birthday and he's so joyful. He's in enjoying mood and he's partying. And as soon as he saw that ring, right, he became sad. So what we understood from this, the happy person became sad and the sad person became happy. Can anyone of you guess what is written on that ring? What that old man wrote on that ring? Any guesses? You can write in the chat if you can guess that. Harshit.
Mataji, this too shall pass.
Very good. So this is written on that ring. So what does it mean? Whether it is happiness or...
Harshit?
What, Mataji?
Can you sit?
Yeah.
Oh, sit.
Read Bhagavad Gita, Harshit. Just sit down. Yeah. Now read.
Okay. Yeah. So what is written on that? This too shall pass. What does that mean? Whether it is happiness or distress, It is not permanent. It is temporary. So what we have to understand here is, we are in this material world, and whether it is happiness or distress, in this material world, it is ultimately material in nature. It is not permanent. This too shall pass. Okay. Next. So here there is another verse. I think we are running out of time today also. That's fine. Yeah. Can anyone quickly read this? Who want to read? Kevalya. Yeah, I think the same people are raising hand, but anyway, yeah, Kevalya, go ahead.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचिन् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे.
Very good. Okay. Who else can read the translation now? Sahiti?
For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
Slain. Very good. So what is Krishna saying here? Krishna is saying that the soul, there is no birth, there is no beginning, there is no end. There is no birth nor death. So the soul is eternal. So to understand this, we have another verse which we already learnt. So can anyone from SSP recollect which is that verse which is talking about the soul is not cut by weapons, not withered by wind? So which is that verse? Anyone from SSP? Yeah, go ahead.
नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः.
Very good, very good. So what is it is saying here? The soul cannot be cut by weapons. And next, what it is saying, the soul cannot be withered by the wind, and the soul is not moistened by water. The soul is not burnt by fire. The soul cannot be dried. And so that is what it is saying. So now we understood that the soul is eternal. So we need a scientific proof, right? Like if the soul really exists. So to know that scientific proof, let's understand the existence of the soul. So first is like common sense understanding. Like for example, if somebody is dead, right, the body will be still there. But what people talk about saying that this person left, but if you see the body is still there, but what they are saying is the soul left the body. That is a common sense understanding. Then we have near death experience and out of body experience. Okay, so near death experience, to understand near death experience or out of body experience. So if you Google this name, maybe after this class, you can actually Google by writing Dr. Michael Sobham. So Dr. Michael Sobham, he's actually a cardiologist, and he actually worked with so many patients like who had heart attacks and they were on the deathbed, but then at the last minute they actually survived. But these people, after the death, they actually, in the research, what it has found out is like they were able to tell what was being done on the operation theater, in the operation theater on them. Like some of them could able to tell like which scissors is used, what was the doctor talking, and what is the dress the doctor was wearing at that time, what type of shoes they have worn. So there is a beautiful video on YouTube about his findings. You can just go through it. So how that person is able to tell, he is on the deathbed, right? He's on the operation bed wherein the operation is going on. But how could actually he can see all this? Because the soul came out of the body and the soul was able to see all this. So this actually confirms scientifically that the existence of the soul. Then there are past life memories. So Ian Stevenson is a person who has done so much of research on people who actually have past life memories. So earlier slide we have seen the composition, right? In that composition, we actually discussed about the subtle body and the soul being transferred to another body, right? So sometimes what happens is they still have the past life memories and they actually can relate the previous birth things like their parents or the place where they lived. And this is really true. If you actually Google with Ian Stevenson, there's so much research what he had written and so many people who actually have the past life memories. And they actually really spotted the places where they lived during their past life also. So you can actually write that name and Google that, so you'll know more about the existence of the soul. So here we have an life lesson. So what is this life lesson? Can anyone read? So Charan, where is Charan? Charan, you want to read? Charan Sai. Yeah.
Mataji.
Yeah.
I cannot escape my miseries by exploiting or damaging or destroying my body.
Very good. So this is another beautiful life lesson which we have to contemplate and we have to follow. What it is saying, like we cannot escape our miseries by exploiting, by going to bad habits and destroying our body, because some people like they commit suicides and all, right? So we cannot actually we cannot destroy our body. We cannot exploit our body. Okay. Next section. So this is the third section. In this third section, we are talking about two duties. What are the two duties? One duty is towards our body. The other duty is towards the soul. So duty towards the body is called as Swadharma. And duty towards the soul is called as Sanatana Dharma. Okay, na? Swadharma, Sanatana Dharma. Duty towards the body. What? This body, like we actually take bath, then we apply powder, we wear a dress. So this is all duty towards the body, and we work like you all are studying. So all that comes towards the duty towards the body, that is Swadharma. Duty towards the soul, that is Sanatana Dharma. So here Krishna is giving more emphasis on Sanatana Dharma because Sanatana Dharma is actually neglected. That's why he is giving more emphasis on Sanatana Dharma. So here let's understand this life lesson here. What it is saying, take care of the bird, the soul, and not the cage. So here if you see that picture, what that lady is doing, there is a cage. What she's doing, she's actually painting that cage, everything she's doing for that cage, whatever she can do. Like we are actually decorating our body and whatever we are doing for our body. But that lady forgot that there is a bird inside that cage. She's not feeding the bird. So if she's not feeding the bird, what happens? The bird will ultimately die. So same way we have to feed our soul. So how can we feed our soul? Now that you are all connected to Bhagavad Gita, we can feed our soul. So how can we feed our soul? So see, here all the children are raising their hands, right? Can we also feed our soul now? Can we all raise your hands now? Yes. I will unmute you all and then you can actually, I'll unmute you all once again.
Yes, Mataji, now we can talk.
Yes, Mataji, now we can talk.
Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, you are muted.
I am muted. Okay. Yeah. Now let's go. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Very good. So this is the food for the soul. So what is the food for the soul? Chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, listening to Bhagavad Gita, following what is said in Bhagavad Gita. That is the food for our soul. So will you all give food for the soul from today? So many are already chanting very beautifully. So many rounds you're chanting. Those who haven't started chanting, you have to start today. And tomorrow there is Ekadasi, Nijjal Ekadasi. It is very auspicious. Whoever haven't started chanting, you have to start from tomorrow because it is very auspicious. Okay? So this is the food for, yeah, very good. So this is the real food for the soul. So here there is another verse if anyone wants to read. Who wants to read it?
Mataji,
Akshaya.
I want to read the meaning.
Okay, wait. Akshaya?
Bikaram nastosi pratyayo navidyate swayappalam apaya asya dharmasya trayate mahato pryataha.
Very good. Yes, Harshit, translation.
Okay, Mataji. Translation. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution and a little
Advancement.
on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear.
Yeah, okay, very good. So to understand this verse, we have to understand that when we do any devotional activity like Sanatana Dharma, like you're chanting the holy name of, you're chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, right? When you do anything as such, Krishna is saying that there is no diminution, that he's saying that will not be any loss. See, for example, in this life, now I am a software engineer. But if I take another birth, right, in that birth, will I start from software engineer? So already I studied software engineer, I'm working. So will I start from there? No, right? From where we'll start? We have to start from ABC again. Yeah, from ABC again we have to start. But what Krishna is saying is, if you do Sanatana Dharma, you don't need to start from from again ABC. He's saying like wherever you stop, from there you will continue. So for this, we'll understand one story here. So Ajamila, so many knows Ajamila story, right? So this Ajamila, he's a very pious Brahmana. He used to do very much devotional service. But then somehow he actually lost and he was doing all sinful activities, like he had an illegal relationship. Okay. And at the age of 88 years or something, he was on the deathbed. Then you can see in this picture, right? Like Yamadutas actually came to take him. But at the end, in that stage, he was actually calling his younger son's name. His younger son's name is Narayana. So he was actually calling by his name, like Narayana, Narayana, he was calling. But that poor child, he doesn't know his father's emotions. He did not come to save him. But then the Lord Narayana, he actually listened his prayers and he sent Vishnu Dutas to actually save him. So you can see, right? Narayana, he said Narayana, Na, Ra, Ya, Na. So Narayana, 4 Vishnu Dutas actually came to rescue him, and they gave him a second chance, and he went to Haridwar, he practiced devotional service, and ultimately he went to Vaikunta. So what we have to understand here is, Krishna is saying that if you do some devotional service in this life, some Sanatana Dharma in this life, if you do like 5% or 10%, in the next life, you'll start from the 10%. You don't need to start from ABC. But material education, which we are studying, right? If we take another birth, we have to start from ABC again. Okay. So here there is a life lesson again. So Yamini, you want to read? Yes, Yamini, your voice is not audible. No. Okay. Sanvi, can you read this?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Lesson 6. Miseries of life are the symptoms of imbalance. Pause and reflect. Balance the two.
Very good. So what is this life's lesson saying about is, like we talked about Swadharma then Sanatana Dharma. So here Krishna is not saying like you leave everything, like you kids, all of you are studying, right? You have to study, you have to, that is what your Swadharma. Krishna is not saying leave everything and just follow Sanatana Dharma. No, Krishna is saying here you have to balance both. So you can see the balance right there, the picture of the balance. So you have to balance the Swadharma and the Sanatana Dharma. That is duty towards the body and duty towards the soul. You have to balance both, Krishna is saying. When you balance both, then there won't be any misery in life. That is what he is saying. So we have to balance both here. Then next, this is the last section and we'll finish this chapter. So there is one more verse here if someone want to read. Who want to read Krishna Priya? Yeah, Krishna Priya or Vishnu Priya?
Which verse, Mataji? We cannot see, Mataji.
Visaya Vinay, but you can read.
Vishaya niraharasya dehina rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate.
Very good. Harika, can you read the translation?
So the embodied soul may be resected from the sense enjoyment and the taste for sense objects remains, but
Pleasing.
Such engagements carrying a higher taste and is fixed in
consciousness. Yeah. So what is Krishna saying here? One who can control the senses, he can control the senses, he will experience higher taste, he's saying. Krishna is saying he will experience higher taste and he will fix his consciousness. That is what Krishna is saying here. So let's understand how, so here Arjuna is asking Krishna, how we can actually identify such kind of people he's asking. So Krishna is saying that one who actually controls senses, like we talked about the happiness and distress situations, right? So the person who actually stays who actually tries to have the same composure during the happiness or during the sadness, that person is very wise. Krishna is saying that you should not be very much elated when you receive success and you should not be very much distressed when you get failure. So if you actually have equanimity during that particular time, that person is a wise person, Krishna is saying. In Sanskrit, that person is called as a Sthita Prajna. So what Krishna gave an example of a tortoise here. All of you know tortoise, right? So what Krishna is saying is, like when something, because in this material world, there's so many distractions. For example, you wanted to study hard for your exam, but then someone in your house, they will switch on the TV, or maybe someone might call you actually, and they might distract you. So what Krishna is saying is, we have to be like a turtle. A wise person will be like a turtle. So the first picture you can see, the tortoise is there, but in the second picture the tortoise actually pulled its limbs into the shell. On the tortoise you can see that there is a shell. So whenever obstacles come, right, then it will actually pull its limbs inside its shell. So what we have to do is, whenever some distractions come, right, we have to just close. Okay, we have to stay away from that. See, for example, if some bad smell comes, right, what you all will do? Automatically we will close our nose, right? Yeah. And if there is a noise, big noise is coming, what you will do? You'll close your ears. Yeah. And if there is a fire, somewhere fire is there, will you go and put in your hand there, or will you withdraw your hand? You'll withdraw your hand, right, immediately. Yeah. Same way, what we have to do, what Krishna is saying is, when something is distracting us, we have to stay away from that. Just like the tortoise is withdrawing its limbs inside when there are obstacles coming in, same way we have to stay away from the obstacles which are coming in our way. Okay. And then, so what is the key to success and joy? Krishna is saying that if one performs the two duties, both the duties we have to perform with determination, with enthusiasm, then one will be happy in this life and in the next. Why Krishna is saying in the next also? Because if we actually start chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, listening to Bhagavad Gita and adopting this Bhagavad Gita principles in our life, then we will start from that same position in our next life. So that is what Krishna is saying here. Then here we'll see a beautiful story again. So Krishna is talking about higher taste, right? So everyone know the crow and a swan. Okay. So one day what happened is this swan came to this crow, and the swan is saying, I just saw a very beautiful lake nearby. The water is very fresh and it is so peaceful there. I am actually moving to that place. Do you want to come? The swan is asking to the crow. The crow then replied, okay, I will see. Okay, tell me one thing. Is there a garbage place there? Will people actually throw garbage near that lake? Then the swan replied, no, there is no garbage at all. It is so nice. It is so pleasant. Then the crow said, I don't want to come to that place. You just leave. So what is the mentality of the crow here? The crow, if you see, it always goes to filthy places, right? See, you have dustbins, right? On the dustbin, what it will be written? Use me. Use me, it will be written, right? What this crow does is, it will think that it is written for herself. Like use me means they're asking to use for herself. Then it will always go to the dustbin. See, you can see a picture there where the crow is actually finding something in the dustbin. So this crow will always go to filthy places. But swan, you will never find in that filthy place. It will be always there in a clean place. That is the higher taste. So we have to be like a swan and not like the crow. Okay. So higher taste, how do we actually develop this higher taste? Like we just chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when we chant this Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we actually listen to Bhagavad Gita, and when we follow the Sanatana Dharma, then we will actually experience this higher taste. So in this story of the crow and the swan has higher taste. So same way we have to adopt this higher taste. So here there is a beautiful life lesson. So what this life lesson is saying, the missing link to higher taste is Bhagavad Gita. So now you all are very enthusiastic and you are actually listening to Bhagavad Gita. Why you actually are listening to Bhagavad Gita? Because you know the importance of Sanatana Dharma. So you are actually establishing that missing link. You are getting this higher taste. So you are actually establishing connection to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So for example, let's take like when we get fever or when we get any problem, right? Doctor will prescribe you certain dose. For example, stomach ache or something. Then if we go to the doctor, he will give you a prescribed medicine, right? For example, he'll give some dose of medicine and he'll ask you to utilize it consume it for 3 days. So you have to consume all the 3 days. First day you just take the medicine, and because your stomach ache is gone, you won't stop using it, right? You will consume it for 3 days. So same way, there is a prescribed dose of medicine given for us also. What is that? Chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we have to show gratitude towards God by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And by to chant just one round, it will hardly take 10 minutes. So those of you who are not at chanting, tomorrow it is Nijal Ekadasi and it is very auspicious. Can you just take 10 minutes out of your time to just show gratitude towards Lord, saying that you have to gratitude. See, when you call someone's name, right, you'll feel very happy about it, right? Like for example, Harika is there. If Harika's friends are talking about Harika is doing a very great job. She got first in the exam. If someone is talking about her, definitely she'll feel happy about that, right? So same way, when we are chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we are actually showing our gratitude towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna. He'll feel very happy. He will actually sit beside us when we are chanting. So at least try to chant one round from tomorrow. Just take 10 minutes of your time and show gratitude towards what we have today to the Lord. And then finally we have two verses here if anyone wants to recite. These also we have learnt in SSP. Akshaya. Yeah, Akshaya, first one you can read.
ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसा सङ्गस्तेषूपजायते सङ्गात् सञ्जायते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते.
Very good. Harshit, you can read the translation.
Mataji, while contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises.
Very good. Charan, you want to read the next one? Krodhat bhavati.
Mataji, Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vipramah, smriti bhamshat buddhinasho, buddhinashat pranashyati.
Very good. Then who wants to read the translation? Brinda?
Yes, Mataji. From anger, complete delusion arises, and from delusion, bewilderment of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost, and when intelligence is lost, one falls down again into the material pool.
Very good. So what is Krishna explaining about is, Krishna is explaining about 8 steps to failure. So I told, right, Bhagavad Gita not only talks about success, but it also helps us in handling failures, right? So Krishna is actually explaining, let's see an example here. So Krishna is explaining about the 8 steps to failure. So for example, let's consider someone's birthday is coming up. You're all very good and intelligent kids. Let's talk about, this is just an example. So one child birthday is coming up. So she's contemplating, like I have to celebrate my birthday very well. She's contemplating. That is first is talking about. And then because we have this internet, like everything is accessible, she actually goes to Facebook and she sees like her friends celebrated in a big function hall. They went to a different place and they did her birthday very well. So she thinks like, okay, my friends celebrated in the function hall. Maybe I have to go to abroad or somewhere. I have to spend my celebrate my birthday. So she'll get the desire. Then that desire, she actually talks to her parents, but their parents will not agree because that desire is not useful actually, because she is just trying to imitate others, and then the parents will not agree, and then she'll get anger, and in that anger what she does, from that anger delusion comes. Delusion means she will not know what is good and what is bad, and then she actually goes to bewilderment of memory. That means she actually forgets, because earlier her parents were doing so many things for her. They have bought so many things for her, but all that she actually forgets. And then what will happen? The intelligence will be lost and she keeps screaming at her parents, and finally what will happen? It will result in a failure. Sometimes the relationships also will be lost. So what we have to understand here is that at the thought level itself, see, contemplating, and then she looks on Facebook and she actually tries to imitate others because she wanted to show off, like her friends had celebrated the birthday very nicely and she even want to celebrate even more better than that. So at the thought level itself, so when we know this 8 steps to failure, right, we will be very cautious. That's why Krishna is giving the 8 steps for failure here. And here there is a life lesson if someone wants to read out. Vanshika and Shrinika, are you there? Yes, go ahead.
Mataji, your screen
Yeah, go ahead.
is not.
It's not visible?
No, Mataji. No, it's Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Beware of managing thoughts and it gets converted into cruel plans and ends up in unpredictable action.
Very good. So what this life lesson is saying here is, at the thought level itself, we have to stop when we are getting something like this. At the thought level itself, we have to stop, or else those will be converted into plans words and then into actions. So for example, here in your you have in your friend circle, say some other friend comes to you and says, you know, so and so girl, she was doing like this, like this. If she's coming and talking to you, what you have to do is at the thought level, when she starts that conversation itself, you have to stop her. You have to say her to stop. No, this is because she's not present right now. We should not be discussing with her about her. So you have to stop at that level itself. So this life lesson is we have to stop our thoughts at the thought level itself. Then those will not be converted into cruel plans and we will not regret further. Okay. So why to perform the two duties? So we learned that we have to do Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma. So when we perform Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma, what we will achieve from that is we will be free from duality. So we learned that there are good and bad, happiness and distress everywhere, right? So we will actually know, we will have that intelligence to distinguish between the good and bad. Then there won't be any expectations from anyone. Then automatically there won't be any disappointment, right? And then we will give up good quality, bad qualities. If we give up bad qualities, automatically everything will be good. And then finally we will be in joy and peace because our consciousness will be set towards God, on God. Okay. So why this is why we have to perform the two duties. So this is the end of this chapter. There is an overview here. If anyone wants to volunteer to actually talk about this, we have like 4 sections. You can just give a 1 minute or 2 minute overview. So again, I'll keep lower all your hands because I'm not understanding who will actually talk. Yeah, can you raise your hand? I can see who wants to, because there's so many hands raised. Brunda, you want to? Yeah, Brunda, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, just give an overview of what you understood. Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. In chapter 2, I understood that there are crisis management like indecision and surrender. And my real identity is my soul.
Very good. Excellent.
About gross body and subtle body and soul.
Very good.
I learned that I have 2 duties. Duty towards a gross body and steady body. And my duty towards the soul. And,
yes.
And I learned to sustain happiness. The 8 steps of failure and a higher taste.
Very good. Very good. Any life lesson which you want to implement?
Yes, Mataji. We should never get into anger. Anger is the main lead to all the problems.
Very good. Excellent. Very good. Yeah, anyone else want to volunteer? We are at 4 or 5:15. That's fine. Kaivalya, you want to go ahead? Yeah.
Kaivalya.
Yes, Kaivalya, go ahead.
Chapter 2, I learned that chapter 2 is divided into 4 parts. That risk management, identify, 2 duties, sustain happiness. First, in risk management, there are 2, indecision and surrender. In indecision, we do not follow the rules or follow the rules.
Excellent.
Here is one loses. Once when we see our guru or anybody who's related to us, we feel that we should win or lose. And there is a life lesson I learned. One loses ability to discriminate between right and wrong due to attachment.
Very good.
Second, surrender. In surrender, Second.
Complete, you don't need to give Kaivalya. Just give a short form.
Yes, sir. And 2. My real identifier. The skin all is gross body. Gross body is made up of water, earth, water, fire, air, and space. Subtle body is made up of intelligence, mind, and false ego. Soul is Sat Chit Anand.
Very good.
In the third part, I learned I have 2 duties. The first duty is towards our gross body and our subtle body. The second duty is towards our soul. The fourth one is sustained happiness. Sustained happiness are 8 steps of failure and higher taste.
Very good. Very good.
This is what I learned in the
Very good, Amma. Very nice. I will allow participant to unmute. Yeah, all of you can unmute now. If anyone else want to volunteer also can go ahead.
Ma'am.
Who is that? Haripriya? Yes, Haripriya. Go ahead.
To tell the shloka of Vasamsi.
You want to say that? Yeah, tell me. Tell me, Haripriya.
Vasamsi jirnani yada vihaya. Navani grahnati naro parani. Yada sharirani vihaya jirnani. Anyani samyati navani dehi.
Very good. Very good, Haripriya. Very nice. Excellent.
So the meaning is when we need new clothes, if it is old, we throw it. The same way, if the body dies, the soul goes into another body.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent, Haripriya. Did you like the class today?
Yes.
Very good. I'm looking forward to you joining the classes from tomorrow, next week, okay?
Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Akshaya.
I just want to tell about second chapter, Mataji.
Yeah, tell me, Nana. Oh, you want to say?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mataji, and can you send assignment again, Mataji?
Which one, Nana? First week one, na?
No, Mataji. Today's Mataji.
Today's we'll send it Monday or by Tuesday evening, okay?
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah, you'll get the quiz.
Mataji.
Mataji.
Yes, Akshaya.
Attendance, Mataji.
Attendance link. Okay. Mataji posted in the group. No, wait 1 second. I'll post again. Yeah, I'll send it. Yeah, Harika, you are saying something?
Mataji, I don't know chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Mataji.
ఇందాక మనం చేసాం కదా నాన్న అదే సేమ్ హరే కృష్ణ 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 హరే 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 రామ 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 హరే హరే అంతే అది 108 times చేస్తే ఇట్లా ఇంట్లో ఇలా మాల్ ఉంటే యూ కెన్ డూ 1 second ఐ షో యూ సో ఇంట్లో ఇలా మాల్ ఉంటే యూ కెన్ డూ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఇస్ నాట్ దేర్ యూ కెన్ కౌంట్ ఆన్ ద ఫింగర్స్ ఆల్సో ఓకేనా ఇలా మాల్ ఉంటే ఇట్ విల్ హ్యావ్ 108 సో 108 ఇలా చేస్తే దెన్ ఇట్ ఇస్ కాల్డ్ 1 round ఓకేనా
Mataji, I don't have that much big Mataji. I have small one.
No, any mala will have 108 beads. So 108 times if you do that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it is counted as 1 round. Okay na? Because tomorrow is Nijjala Ekadasi, you start chanting from tomorrow. Okay na? And just post in the group. Like 1 round if you do 1 round, 2 rounds if you do 2 round. Okay na? Yeah.
Can you open the slide, Mataji?
Akshay, you want to say, right? 1 second. Let me share again. I closed it. Yes. Yes, Akshaya. Yeah. Can you see it?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Chapter 2, I learned it is divided into 4 parts.
Mm.
Crisis management,
Very
my
good.
identity,
Mm.
and good duties, sustained happiness.
Mm.
Crisis management, also 2 parts are there. Indecision and surrender.
Very good.
When we are doubtful in we should go, we should win, or we should help to others, or we should lose that, we should surrender to Krishna. We should take shelter of Krishna.
Krishna.
Then
Very good.
we can get the answer for it. And the second thing is my real identity. In that 3 points are there: gross body, substantial body, soul. In gross body, it is covered with air, water, earth, and space. And
It is not covering Akshaya. It is made up of 5 elements. Gross body is made up of. Okay?
it is made up of 5 elements.
Right.
The body is made up of 3 elements. That is
Right.
false ego, mind, and intelligence. Soul is also made up of 3 elements. That is Ananda. And the third one is 2 duties. We should manage all the 2 duties. That Swadharma and Sanatana Dharma.
Very good.
Sustained happiness. In sustained happiness, we learn about 8 steps of failure and higher taste.
Very good. What is higher taste, Akshaya?
Higher taste is a taste, Mataji. Then we can take an example of swan, Mataji.
We should be like a swan. Okay. Very good. Very good, Akshaya. So if anyone is getting late, you can leave. Actually, I think Repaka Harshini, she wanted to say. Harshini. Harshini, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say about soul and what I learned about soul.
Yeah.
Uh,
Tell him.
Now, Arjuna, why did Arjuna said I won't fight, ma'am? Because of loss of enjoyment, like that there are 4, ma'am. And Krishna said, don't, if they die also, their soul won't die. Then when we from fire, it cannot be dried. When we put and if it is there in the fire also, nothing will happen. It is very magical kind. It is a magical kind of, ma'am. And I learned two duties, ma'am.
Duties. What is your duty, Harshini? What is your Swadharma?
Swadharma, duty towards body.
So what is your Swadharma?
Ma'am?
What is your Swadharma? You're studying, right? Your Swadharma is to study, right?
Yes.
So you have to study and you have to give 100% in what you're doing. Okay, in both, Krishna is saying that, right? In both the duties, you have to do with determination and dedication. So Swadharma, you have to study, and Sanatana Dharma, you have to do the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Amma. Very nice. I'm really happy to listen from all of you. Anyone else? And
Mataji, I have a doubt, Mataji.
yes, Harshit.
కదా.
మాతాజీ ప్రభుజీ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఎన్ని రౌండ్స్ ఉన్నాలో మాక్సిమం చెప్పారు కదా, ఏమన్నా ఉన్నాయా అలా?
రాలేదండి
ఏంటమ్మా ఏంటి హర్షిత్?
ప్రభుజీ వచ్చిన రోజు ప్రభుజీ అడిగారు కదా మాతాజీ ఎన్ని రౌండ్స్ మాక్సిమము.
మీరు ఎన్ని చేస్తున్నారు అని అడిగారమ్మా. యాక్చువల్లీ మాక్సిమమ్ మనకి శ్రీల ప్రభుపాద వారు చెప్పి 16 రౌండ్స్ చేయమని.
ఓకే మాతాజీ.
So you can do you because you just started kada, so you can do 16 rounds if you can spend that much time. కానీ కన్సిస్టెంట్ గా చేయాలి. ఇప్పుడు ఒక రోజు 16 వేసేసి మళ్ళీ నెక్స్ట్ డే 8 కి వెళ్ళిపోవటం అట్లా కాదు. సో కన్సిస్టెంట్ గా లైక్ 4 రౌండ్స్ అనుకుంటే డైలీ 4 రౌండ్స్ చేయండి. ఓకేనా? కన్సిస్టెన్సీ వచ్చినాక ఓకే నేను 4 రౌండ్స్ ఆల్మోస్ట్ 1 మంత్ నుంచి చేస్తున్నాను, ఐ విల్ యాక్చువల్లీ గో హయ్యర్ అని చెప్పి అప్పుడు 8, అప్పుడు 12, 16 అలా పెంచుకుంటూ వెళ్ళాలి. ఓకేనా? అలా కాకుండా నేను 16 చేసేద్దామని చెప్పి ఒక రోజు 16 చేసేసి నెక్స్ట్ రోజు చేయకుండా అట్లా ఉండకూడదు అనమాట. కన్సిస్టెంట్ గా ఉండాలి. అది కన్సిస్టెంట్ గా చేయాలి ఏది చేసినా. అది
Mataji, first day, how many we have to do rounds?
నువ్వు జస్ట్ స్టార్ట్ చేయండి. 1 రౌండ్ చేయి నువ్వు ఫస్ట్. 1 రౌండ్ హార్డ్లీ విల్ టేక్ 10 minutes అన్నమాట. సో 108 టైమ్స్ చేయాలి. ఇందాక నువ్వు మన హరే కృష్ణ మహామంత్ర రిపీట్ చేయించాను కదా నీ చేత, అలా నువ్వు 108 టైమ్స్ చేస్తే 1 రౌండ్ అవుతుంది. ఓకేనా? సో 1 రౌండ్ చేయి. నీకు ఇంకా టైం ఉంది, నీకు ఇంకా చాలా, నీకు ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఇంట్రెస్ట్ వచ్చేస్తుంది ఆ మహామంత్రం మీద. ఇంట్రెస్ట్ వచ్చినప్పుడు ఇంకా నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ రౌండ్స్ చేసుకుంటా ఉండు. ఓకేనా? యా, వెరీ గుడ్. Sanvi, you have a doubt?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Sanvi.
My doubt was actually with the first chapter. I thought to ask last class, but
Okay.
then I forgot, Mataji. So,
No problem.
said that the greedy person, they don't feel any bad to kill their relatives because killing relatives is a bad thing. So,
Right.
Arjuna was a good person, so he felt a bit bad. But on the Duryodhana side, Duryodhana didn't feel anything. But Bhishma and Drona were also there. Now Bhishma and Drona know dharma. Even Yudhishthira, Bhima, Nakula, they also know dharma. So why they did not feel bad about killing relatives?
Yes, Amma. So Bhishma Dev, right? Bhishma Dev, he actually took a vow initially. So that is an external reason. Because he has to actually protect the throne. He actually had to fight towards the Kauravas. But that is an external reason. But the actual reason is, like if we take this as a Krishna's Leela, it is like Krishna's Leela. For example, in your school you will perform dramas, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Sanvi, you are there, right? So let's say, you are performing a drama. You have heard the Putana Leela, which Mataji said yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So say you are performing Putana in that drama. Okay? So if you are performing Putana, will you actually become Putana? Will you, is that you're considered as Putana there?
No.
Sanvi is a good girl, but she's just performing that character as Putana. So Sanvi is not bad there. She's just performing that character there. So same way, in Krishna, according to the Krishna's will, these people are performing the Leela there. What message Krishna want to give here is, Bhishma Dev, we know he is a great devotee and he is a very good person. But even a good person like Bhishma Dev, if we actually support adharma, then they will be defeated. That is a message Krishna wants to give to the world. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, Sanvi?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Amma. Very good question. And anyone else? Or else? Yes, Nana. Anyone else?
Mataji.
Evarammadi? Yaminiya? చెప్పమ్మా.
చాప్టర్ 1 అసైన్మెంట్ పంపియరా మాతాజీ?
చాప్టర్ 1 అసైన్మెంట్ ఎప్పుడో వచ్చేసిందమ్మా. అది రిజల్ట్స్ కూడా వెళ్ళిపోయినాయి అందరికి. మీరు యాక్చువల్లీ గ్రూప్ లో చూసుకోండి అమ్మా, లింక్స్ పంపిస్తున్నాము. మీకు గనక ట్యూస్డే లోపల గనక మీకు లింక్ లేకపోతే మీ ఫోన్ లో డేటా లేక డిలీట్ అయిపోతే, యూ జస్ట్ రైట్ ఇన్ ద గ్రూప్, మాతాజీ ఇంకా క్విజ్ లింక్ రాలేదేంటి అని చెప్పి గ్రూప్ లో పెట్టండి. మేము మళ్ళీ పోస్ట్ చేస్తాం. ఓకేనా? ఓకే, ఓకే అమ్మా. Yeah, if there are not any more questions, maybe we can end. Okay, na? Yeah. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Closing.
Okay, Mataji.